All right, everyone. Welcome to the Angry Agent Uncle podcast. I am your host, Reynold. And sorry, our co host, Vic, is on vacation, but we have a guest, Carrie. Carrie, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Carrie Bazaglo. That's my married name, but I'm going by Carrie Blazer, my maiden name, for what I'm doing now. And I speak a little Chinese, so uh, it's been a
Oh,
long time. See, it's like it
no,
doesn't
that's good. That's good. Yes.
doesn't come
We
out.
haven't even translated it. This is the first time, and it's our guest
Oh,
that
that's supposed to be an
translated.
Asian language. And
Oh,
I'm a white girl.
I know that gave us the title in Chinese. Oh man, this is gonna be a good one. Okay,
Yeah, I'm
continue,
gonna put some
continue.
Chinese in there just to mess with people. Okay, all right,
Right?
fun with it, and some Hebrew and a little Arabic, maybe if
Oh wow. Oh,
you
multi-language. Yeah.
know. Just I'm just gonna pull from the language thing here.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, I like it. I like it. So yeah, and so yeah, can continue. Introduce
Oh, about
yourself.
me. Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
more about me. Okay, so
Yes.
I am Carrie Blazer.
Right.
I am a mother, a shaman, and an author,
Hmm.
and I specialize in people's relationships with themselves. And
Wow.
so, and how did I come to specialize in that? Well, I had to learn how to fix my relationship with myself. And then upon fixing my relationship with myself, I realized that all my other relationships naturally improved. So then I came to understand that, relationships, dating, all boils down to your relationship with yourself. And so my relationship with myself started, when I was born. I was born into a childhood that was quite traumatic. My mom was an alcoholic, my dad was a workaholic, and I have an older brother. And I was raised in an affluent town, and my parents got divorced when I was 6. And I got a job when I was 12. I started working at a hot dog on a stick, yes, the lemonade and the hot dogs
Oh
and
yeah,
the
I like
funny
that.
hats, when
Yes.
I was 14 till I was like 20. But I made really good money there. I was making double minimum wage when I graduated high school, and I bought my
Wow.
own car. Like, I was doing my thing, but all
Hmm.
of that independence was because I wasn't healthy in my femininity. I was providing for myself and protecting myself, and no one could tell me different. But
Hmm.
that doesn't make me a soft, feminine woman capable of compassion and forgiveness and being the woman in the relationship. I was busy being a man woman, so I attracted a woman
Right.
man, as the
Right.
opposite. I'm in my masculine lane thinking I'm all that. No, I wasn't. He was in his feminine lane, but not wanting to admit it. And this is the kind of the common conundrum that we're in, is that there's so many women who have been trained and have childhood trauma. And so all these women are in their masculine, and then that naturally creates feminized men, and then no one's happy. And so here we are. But that was like my beginning, and that led me to going off to college and getting a master's degree, undergraduate degree in Chinese and religious studies. And then I went back to China. I met my ex-husband in Tibet, and he's Israeli. And I
Hmm.
lived in Israel, and then we moved back to America in 95 and got married, and I got a master's degree, and we had 3 kids. And but then we got divorced 10 years later because, like, I didn't know how to forgive. And that's a right-brained feminine activity. And I didn't know how to be in my right brain because I was so busy in my left brain. Um,
Oh, okay.
and that's the common conundrum, where the right brain is the femininity, the compassion, the nurturing, the intuition, the creation, where the left brain is our logic and our planning and our strategizing, right?
Right.
So when I when I wasn't safe at home, I started planning and strategizing, like, I got to get out of here. I got to keep myself safe, right?
Hmm.
With survival mode. And
Hmm.
then men, they spend too much time in their emotions, and they don't know how to disconnect because they're constantly, like, being treated poorly. So it's kind of like we go the opposite way when we have trauma and not healed. And that led me to about 35. And then my 40s were really hard, and I had a lot of migraines, and I was on a lot of medications, and it was really, really hard. And then my mom passed away on my 45th birthday. That was 10 years ago. And that's the day
Sorry
my
about that.
thank you. And but that it was like it was hard, but it was a blessing, and I'll explain in a second why it was a blessing. So my intuition said, accept your intuition, accept your psychic gifts,
Yeah.
and heal from your childhood trauma. And she was the matriarch of our family, but the matriarch of my family was an alcoholic. So then the heart, everyone, the feminine is the center of the family, the heart, right? So if her heart is an alcoholic, that's not a real healthy place to be in. Okay, well, she passed, and now I became the matriarch. And when I drink alcohol, I get hives. So I'm not an alcoholic, but I knew had a lot of healing. But then there was the opportunity for healing because I'm not an addict. Okay, but I mean, I have my problems, but that was my chance. So my mom passing away in her mid 70s as opposed to her mid 80s gave me a chance to heal 10 years younger. You know what I mean? And then my kids a chance to heal 10 years younger. Like my older daughter, she has her forever guy already. So it's like, yay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of brings you back, and that's where my book starts, is that whole journey of healing.
Okay. All right. Oh, that sounds great. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely want to talk about relationships and stuff. Maybe get some pointers from you, but
Yeah.
let's start from the beginning. Like, so you travel to China, right? So
Mhm.
you travel abroad. What did you visit? Did you ever go to other countries or?
Yeah. So when I was about 1 years old, my family moved to France and Switzerland.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
remember, but I have pictures. And then came back, and then I studied abroad in China, and I traveled a lot there. And then after I got my undergraduate degree, I went back and I went to China and Tibet and Hong Kong and Thailand and Australia and Israel. And then I taught English in South Korea. And it was cool. In South Korea, the way they count is the same in Chinese. So I could understand some things in Korean that I wasn't expecting. Um, but I haven't been out of the country in 20 years.
Okay. That's fine.
So. I got an itch to go, but
Yeah,
finances are what they are. So
I hear you. I hear you. But I was asking that question is because um, you met your ex-husband while going abroad, and then for
yeah.
me, most of my dating life um, has been because I went to Taiwan and China. Like
Mm,
most of my dating life experience has been abroad. I always
mm,
had a hard time finding someone here where I am in California
yeah.
and just like what you were saying, something about when it comes like that independent woman sort of mindset, like I could take care of myself. I don't need a man, right? Which is good, I mean, there's a good part and bad part, right? But I mean, I'm,
It's
I'm just speaking on my
yeah,
own opinion, right?
yeah,
But then
yeah.
but then it's hard to meet. It's hard for me to meet people because everyone's like, oh, I don't need you. I'm an independent woman. And then, but when I went abroad, it seemed like all more broken down, where like she's like, oh, accepting of a man or something. And then with me, uh, it's also a lot of pressure on me as a in the data world here in the U.S. because I feel a lot of pressure because I'm blind, so I have
Oh,
a lot of things that I can't do, and I feel
mm,
like in the here it's like all about independent. You go through. I mean, if you go on like dating apps,
yeah.
unfortunately, I have done that, but you always hear like the profiles of I need an independent man. If you don't got your own house, your own car, or whatnot, and you like don't even swipe right or left. I don't even know what direction it is, but don't even say like
Mhm.
don't even talk to me, right? So and then I'm like, yeah, it feels like that it, you gotta have be like this big and strong or something in both genders, whether you're female or whatever gender you choose to be, right? And so it's like you got to be strong and independent, but then it's like there's sort of no room for another person sometimes, or other people get intimidated, or even like if you do get together, you're like, man, I'm not getting the like both people are trying to be alphas, and then you're like, where's that love or something, right? The softness there in a relationship. So I don't know. For me, like it took going to another country to
Yeah.
find such things because in America it's all about being tough. So I don't know. What's your opinion?
Okay, so you got into so many challenges that men are having in America, right, in the West right now,
Mm-hmm.
because women were taught
Mm-hmm.
that, that I don't need a man. And then my mom proved it to me. Well, we don't need a man in the house. I got a divorce. Why do we need a man in the house? You know what I mean? So it's like
Right.
I was taught it in society. My mom proved it at home. I went to high school, visited the counselor. Oh, what college are you going to, Carrie? What career are you going to get? No one talked to me about how I was going to be a healthy mother. Everyone taught me to be a healthy worker, which is what we're creating, which is what school is, which is
Mm-hmm.
why like they had this whole study over like 30 years where they tested all the 5-year-olds before they entered kindergarten and 95% were geniuses. And then they tested the same group of kids when they graduated high school and only 5% were geniuses. School stomps out innovation. We're creating workers, not entrepreneurs or, people to think outside the box. And we're not creating inventors. We're creating followers. And so it's like this whole indoctrination program for us to prioritize, money and convenience over health and well-being. And this is what happens. We have everybody competing for the dollar. That's what they created, a market where everyone's competing for the dollar, and then that just destroyed the family. But that's the point. Like feminism in its like documents, its founding documents, is the only way to free a woman is to destroy the family. But like queer theory is the same thing. It's destroy the family. So what happens when you destroy the family? Well, the woman can't be the center when there's no family. So now she's got to go be a man. And then men aren't cared for emotionally and they need that care. Like men's nervous systems are more fragile than women's nervous systems because women are physiologically designed to be the emotional center in a relationship, in a family. But how can I be the emotional center in a relationship or a family when I'm working 40, 50 hours a week? And then I got to take care of kids. There's no self-care time. So the problem that you're experiencing is that, and then what reality does that create? It creates masculine women with no
Mm-hmm.
time for self-care who can't spend time because they're not supported to be the emotional center or be like a stay-at-home mom. Like it's like a sin, or like, you're saying a bad word. It's like saying the N word if you ask a woman, are you a stay-at-home mom? Like I remember
It
like
is.
my son's 27, okay? So,
Yeah.
I've been around, right? I've been a mom for
Yeah.
a long time. I remember having to figure out how to ask a woman if she stayed home and didn't have to work because I wanted to know what that was like because I was jealous because go get a job and put the kids in daycare. I'm like, but I need to be home with the kids. He's like, no, like, well, I'm like, my job just pays for the daycare. Well, you'll make money later.
Oh yeah.
And so it's all about the money, 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 money. But why is a man like that? Why would a man get married and have kids if he doesn't have the money? That's a man who's not planning in his left brain, strategizing, a man who's not healthy in his left brain. He's just emotional. Oh, kids, yay, there's no plan. And the woman is unhealthy because she's in her left brain, because he's in his right and opposites attract. But
Mm-hmm.
that drains her and suppresses her because she's supposed to be the emotional center. So this whole way we've done it the past, I don't know, 100 years, however long it's been, we've been doing this crazy. We're 20 years from population collapse. So obviously it doesn't work out. You know, like if if we're not producing kids, then we got some
Right.
problems in our relationships, like
Yes.
some issues going on there.
Yes. Exactly. Yes. I mean, yeah. Yeah. We were talking about that in another episode about the population of kids, or more and more people, more and more adults, are not having kids. I mean, of
Right.
course, it's a financial issue, and then there's the whole maybe mentality issue or mindset or whatever it is. But yeah, it's a growing issue among. in not just here in America, but in many different countries.
I mean, so many Western countries, like South Korea, it's like zero point 0.7, where
Hmm.
replacement is 2.1. I mean, South Korea is really like struggling,
Oh yeah,
really struggling. Yeah, it's
yeah.
because they taught all their daughters to go to college and then go get a job, and then you get a job and they punish you for having kids. It's like
Oh yeah.
how it's so short-sighted thinking. Like in America, we give women 6 weeks after they give birth. Like
Hmm.
nursing alone takes 40 hours a week. Like
Right.
when I was pregnant, I had to work full time. Like
Hmm.
no one taught me that a woman, every day she's pregnant, puts out as much energy as running 2 marathons a day.
Oh wow.
So I'm running 2 marathons a day and I gotta work. And I worked when I had a kid and was pregnant. And this is how we're treating women, and we're wondering why they're not having kids.
Right.
You see, like we got to get smarter here. And then also,
Right.
we're not having kids because like the open borders. And
Uh,
that's like inherent danger to a woman. So why am I getting pregnant? Like I remember about a year ago, I looked on some maternity sites and it was like
mhm.
half of the clothes were black. I'm like, are they going to like the funeral? Like, how are maternity clothes black? Like I'm like, this some effed up shit. Like, what? You know? You, like I'm in pink. I'm a girl. I'm a mom. Like
Right.
black. I don't know the baby. Like, hmm. So, but that just gives you the picture of how people feel about maternity. And they had
Mhm.
sexy dresses. Why am I sexy while pregnant? Like, obviously I'm fertile, but like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's
Uh,
so attention see so like repress the feminine and seek attention. It's like the extremes and wear a flower dress, girlfriend. You're pregnant.
yes.
No.
Be
But
nice to yourself.
yeah, like be a
Be
girl,
playful.
be
Yeah.
maternal, but it's not supported. It's
Hmm.
not supported. Like you can't ask a woman if she's a stay-at-home mom. You'll get smacked.
Yeah.
Smacked. And can't,
Yeah.
it's rude. It is, it's unspoken, but it's
Hmm.
considered rude to ask someone if they have the privilege to stay home with their kids, which we're designed to do. Like women have a more robust nervous system because
Hmm.
we're designed to help the children regulate their emotions up until they're 7 years old.
Right. Yeah.
And I need all that sensitivity and perceptive ability and kind of intuitive ability to kind of help them through the ebb and flow of emotions, but also how can I help someone else regulate their emotions when I'm working full time, doing other and don't have time for self-care, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
This is a huge issue.
Yeah. Being a mom is not easy. Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. Because yeah, it's like you're saying. Yeah. Being a stay-at-home mom is it's such a bad image. I mean, but before in the olden day, uh, many women were stay-at-home moms, and so. But now
Well,
it's like you're saying, oh, those women are no good. Like you have to be working too. You got to be a working person to be
yeah.
contributing to society. But raising kids is not contributing to society. So if you're gonna say that, then why would people want to have kids then? Right?
It's like I'm just like because creating society isn't contributing to society. That's the
Yeah.
level of crazy that we're at. And then but see where's the end result of that? I mean, if you look at the current stats, kids can't pay attention during school because we
Hmm.
have little girls going to school learning tons of knowledge left brain all day long that turns them
Hmm.
into they suppress their emotions and I'll be perfect, I'll be perfect, I'll be perfect. And then little
Right.
boys are designed to act. We ask them to sit all day long. And then when they can't sit, oh, medicate that kid as if they're the problem,
Right.
And
Yeah.
then we kind of go back to what's the percentage of mental illness right now?
Hmm.
Over like between 50 and 60% of adults do not have a secure attachment to self. That means they're anxious or they're avoidant or somewhere in between. They're not mentally healthy. 50 to 60% at least, and kids are the same rate. This
Oh
is
yeah.
unprecedented, unheard of. And
Hmm.
then here's the bigger challenge. Like, I'm in California too.
Yeah.
Most teachers are liberal, mostly women. Over 50% of liberal women are on a mental health drug,
Oh,
as opposed to like 25% of Republican or conservative women. So it's like twice as high in liberal women, and then they're the ones teaching our kids. And what, hello? So, and I'm in California. Like last year was the first time I ever voted Republican. So I'm not over here not understanding what it's like to be liberal. I was liberal my whole life. I'm a,
mhm.
modern woman, so to speak, right?
Right.
So I understand when I thought that way and how I saw the world that way. But now I really understand that I've healed and see the world, from a calm, secure attachment to self, no anxiety, what's healthy, what are healthy boundaries. It's a whole other world for me. And then I see my daughters still kind of in the liberal world and this whole like immigration thing. Like my older daughter, I almost died after she was born because I went
Mhm.
right back to work. It was January and I got bacterial pneumonia and I spent 2 weeks on a ventilator. Like I seriously like almost died when she was young because I
Mhm.
did not value my femininity. Money was more
Mhm.
important than my life when I was 3 weeks postpartum in January with a 2.5-year-old boy and an infant daughter. And there I am with no, like, my husband didn't have a plan. He
Mhm.
knows I get pregnant easily. And I'm having to figure out the financial situation when I'm 3 weeks postpartum.
Ooh,
See, like,
yeah,
the the crazy is just too crazy.
that's crazy. Yes, yes, and then
That's
I'm
what my book is
seeing.
about. Like, how did I heal the crazy in my life? And, how did I do that? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know. When it comes to financial, that's a all country sort of issue. Everyone. But when it comes, but coming back down with family, I want to ask you this though. You've been to other countries, so you've seen like the relationships in other countries. How, do you see a difference? Because I sort of see a difference. Like it's more, I still see like when I'm in Taiwan, like a lot of friends that are married and the the female, the wife, you know,
Mm.
quits their job and stays home and
Yeah.
basically stays home and take care of the house, and the
Yeah.
guy goes out and makes the bacon. I know, but
Yeah.
you say that over here, that oh, that's like you said, oh, that's whatever, that's being feminist. You're not, like you're not letting the woman, the wife, um, be their full self or something. Like you're like,
Oh,
oh, you're
I'm not
preventing
letting
her from
you.
being successful, right, or something. But over
Yeah.
there, yeah, what I see is like, I mean, when it comes to like getting married and they value, it's sort of like a unit, like they're working as a
Yeah.
unit, right? So it's not
Yeah.
like you're, but over here is all independent, right? Like, oh, uh, you file your taxes. Although we're married, you file independently. I'll file independently, right? You make your money. I make my
All
money,
about the money.
right? Right. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, just in case you try to leave me or something, or just in case I need to
Right,
leave you
right.
or something, right?
Like all the fear-based decisions, there's no longevity. It's all
Right.
short-sighted. It's all about money. It's not about working together. It's like we're at the extreme end of individualism. Do you
Mhm.
know what I mean? And now
Yeah.
we're kind of coming back around, hopefully, prioritizing healthy boundaries, like,
Right.
and, the basics and a calm and order in our cities, like, so that families can like walk on the street safely and not have cars and police cars burning on the 101 freeway in LA, those small things that, like,
Exactly.
we don't need the National Guard. We're just burning police cars on our freeway, but, we're fine over here. We're good. Like,
Okay.
what? Like, we're crazy. Oh, I forgot to tell you, my daughter. Okay, yeah, this is it. Sorry.
Uh,
One more thing, my daughter. So, when this whole thing about the immigration, us seeing ourselves inside, so we attract what we are in life. So if I'm messed up, I'm going to attract messed up people. When I'm messed up, then I'm attracted to messed up situations, right? So, and that's all based on how our nervous system is calibrated. So My daughter was like, Mom, I saw this immigration raid and they were tearing families apart and the mom and the daughter were ripped apart, Mom. I'm like, oh, doesn't sound like your childhood at all, does it? Mom, she's attracted to that event. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying like, I don't want to separate families, but don't come here
Mhm.
illegally or where
Yeah.
you're legal and then your kids are legal
Right.
and then you had to be separated. Like, have a better friggin' plan. It's not our problem, but that's what the media uses to get all of our juices flowing. But I was able to
Mhm.
show her the reason that you're attracted to this trauma is because you have unhealed trauma. Like so many people are attracted to the Israel Gaza situation and there's
Mhm.
trauma all over the world, right? Like
Oh yes.
nobody's talking about how the Nigerian Muslims are killing the Christians. I mean, they are now because of Christmas Day, but there's so
Mhm.
much going on. And yet, what we see is all what we perceive and what we're drawn to, including people, is all based on whether our nervous system is calibrated for fear, guilt, and shame, which is childhood trauma. But when you heal or you have a healthy childhood, your nervous system is then calibrated for love, compassion, and enlightenment. And then you attract in more of those experiences. So,
Right.
for people who are having a hard time in their relationships, the reason that you're attracting in, I'm just like toxic people, is because you're toxic. And so you got to heal. We attract what we are through energetic resonance, meaning a vibrational match. We're souls, we all have energy bodies. Now, I know I'm kind of going off now, right? So I'm going to
Yeah.
introduce something
That's
about myself. So I haven't said this yet, but I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. I'm divine feminine, like, Jesus Christ, Mary Magdalene. So
Mhm.
what did Mary Magdalene teach? Because we have her texts now. They found some in 1897, found more in 1945, is that self-love creates heaven on earth, that I don't need the church to access the divinity inside of my own soul. Like, I don't need a church to heal, right?
Mhm.
So I can love myself and I can recalibrate my nervous system. Because, like, now, when I recalibrated my nervous system in this lifetime, I
Mhm.
experience enlightenment like all the time the past year and a half. Now, I've lived in Chinese Buddhist monasteries and no one ever taught me that enlightenment is an emotion. It's an emotion. I'm like, wait, what? Wait, huh? But I had to figure that out. But yeah, so all of this, like the dating thing, is definitely we're going to share my six divine feminine self-love strategies, which will teach you how to recalibrate your nervous system for love,
Mhm.
compassion, and enlightenment for self. And then when you love yourself, because that's how your nervous system is calibrated, you will attract in other people who also love themselves. So when you love your masculinity truly, you will
Mhm.
attract in a woman who truly loves her femininity, and then you'll have your stay-at-home mom. Can you find that woman in Southern California? That's a hard,
Right.
but
Oh.
your only chance of really doing it, no matter wherever you go, because your soul is planning your life, every moment of your life, based on your wounds for self-improvement opportunities. Like, oh, you're down here? Okay, let's have this challenge, and then you're gonna figure it out, and then you're gonna find wisdom, and then you're gonna be higher. And then you go deeper in another challenge, and then you go even higher, and then deeper and even higher. And that's how you expand your emotional range, is figuring out your crap.
Okay. I gotta figure myself out.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone has to figure
Yeah.
themselves out.
Yeah.
But that's like half. Isn't that like half the battle? I'm getting into. So we gotta first explore ourselves, what our issue is. Like I can say my issue. I think I'm mommy issues. So
Yeah, that
I always that's always a
Chinese
big
women.
thing.
Oh
Right?
man, Chinese women. Oh my gosh.
Oh, so I'm
Oh,
always
look
seeking
out.
like I feel I guess my trauma
Hmm.
is not having enough love, I guess. I didn't feel
Yeah,
enough love. But maybe,
right.
they give it's in the Chinese culture, it's given in a different way. But I grew up in America, so it's like
Still,
I want it the American way, right? With the hugs and the kisses and then right
right.
like with the I love yous and then but no, Chinese culture we don't do that lovey dovey PDA or I
I
love yous.
know, and that's
Right?
the
We
problem.
gotta we're it's a whole different thing. So I always try like I'm I guess I'm not I'm still on and off or I'm not. I don't have my forever person right now because I'm always like it's always not enough. But then I
You're
also
not enough. This is the
yeah
thing.
yeah yeah
Universe
yeah
is a mirror, right? So
yes
it's you're not enough.
yes
Not that
yeah
she's
that
not
makes sense yeah
enough.
yeah
It's the
I see
showing you yourself. Like when you perceive someone else as being selfish, that is your
Mhm.
soul showing you your own selfishness because we attract what we are. We
Right
perceive what we are. Like if we were both to like, watch or listen to the same movie, the
hmm
lessons, like what you would be drawn to in that movie would be based on the constitution and the energy in your soul, the wounds and the wisdom in your soul, the knowledge in your soul. And what I would draw my attention and my perception would be
hmm
based on the constitution of my soul, but it's the same movie. It's like that's how our souls create our own reality for each of us. Like, I'm a pretty woman, but when I was unhealed, I'm going to attract in players and men that treat me like crap, and I'm not going to know what to do because I didn't, change those wounds into wisdom yet. And that's what I experienced. That's what my book is all about. Is the main part of my book goes over how I attracted six men into my life, and then they mirrored my wounds back to me. Like if we're all flirting at yoga, but he ain't asking me out, maybe I need to change something. You know what I mean?
there you
Like,
go
or if he's dating other women or flirting with
right
other women in front of me,
uh-huh.
maybe I got a problem. And I'm not saying he's not an ass. I'm not saying he doesn't have problems. Of course he has
right
problems. But
right
I don't control him. And then the other question is, why am I sticking around while he's being an ass? Like there's all kinds of my own conundrum problem, questions I could
just a
ask
cycle
myself. Like, I mean, here's the best example that I got in my book. It's like, okay, so it's the first guy in my book. His name is Tim. We're at yoga
uh-huh.
and we're flirting before class, and he had a special relationship with one of the yoga instructors. Okay, and I attract in men, I attract players. Okay, and I'll
Okay.
get to that too. So we're
All right.
flirting before class, and we're right in the front of class, right?
Uh-huh.
And so she notices and she starts stomping around his yoga mat dominatrix style. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Mary Magdalene dominatrix. Yeah, that's my fucking
Yeah.
life. That's my life is like that. Okay. So, and then he lays down and puts his arms over his head as if
Uh-huh.
he's protecting himself from an invisible whip. So she like took him back, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, he messed up. Like there's no way I am that messed up. But I had to learn the lesson that if we're that attracted to each other, we're
Mhm.
equally messed up. Equally messed up. But that took me 2 years to accept that truth. And I'm not saying that truth is easy to accept because it's not. Because, I could perceive, oh, he messed up and he messed up before I understood the universe as a mirror, right? Like
Right.
now when I watch the show The View, when they're, oh, you're an Islamophobe and shameful and did it all the negative. I'm like,
hmm
you guys are just talking about yourselves all day long. Like you're just giving it away how much problems you have. And that's really the truth. So imagine the world if everyone could learn that the universe is a mirror. Imagine how much that would change relationships. And I go into that in my six divine feminine self-love strategies, an ebook that Raina will share it. But yeah, it's the things that I learned was able to perceive about just the basic way our souls operate because our souls are energy bodies. And the
hmm
law and physicists have proven that we all have energy bodies. And so they abide by the laws of physics, which was very helpful to me. I'm like, because I have a very much like all the men in my family are engineers. So I need to know how it works. But I'm like a
hmm
spiritual engineer, right? Like intuitive and then engineer. I'm like, well, how am I healing myself? Oh, well, first I'm grateful for my challenge. Oh, that opens my heart. That, changes my hormones. It reduces cortisol. I did all the research. I'm very much a nerd. And then I was like, oh, and then next I self-reflect. I go, oh, what wisdom can I gain? Or what is my soul showing me? And then, I talk to myself and then I naturally forgive myself. Like, oh, so that's like appreciate, learn, forgive equals ego death. Because every time you turn a wound into the wisdom, and that's part of your ego is gone. I'm like, oh, appreciate, learn, forgive. Like, so this is kind of how it happened. And I go into it in the book, like how I kind of came up with these ways of self-reflecting and turning my wounds into wisdom and recalibrating my nervous system. And then when I attracted two fire academy instructors into my life at yoga, I started focusing on first responders and their mental health crisis. I'm like, oh, well, if I keep it simple and easy to talk about, then they can use it in the back of a fire truck, right? So that was kind of, you'll see that I was like, I need to be able to talk to men. I need to make it easy to access. I need to make it simple. And so I like boiled it all down into six. And that's what that is. Yeah.
My current takeaway is I need to go to yoga.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're meeting your men
oh,
at
no, no, no,
yoga.
no. There are masculine, oh, sluts at yoga. Are you kidding me? Okay, so let's talk about the firefighter. All right. So this is, I got a great intuitive story. Two of them. Okay. And so there are two yoga instructors that I gave them both a gift at different points, but those are the only two at the yoga studio that had a gift from me in their homes. Okay.
Okay.
The first one, she was on her second marriage to a man who's younger and has two kids and one who is like trans. So she's very, very modern woman, right? And she would flash her tramp stamp on the bottom of her like lower back, okay? Married. And I'm there and I'm flirting with him before class. And he's like 6'4", 5, like young, like hot, like looks like Superman, like kid you not, okay? So and we stand up and she's looking around and she's like, who was at my last class? And she points, like, you were there, like yells right at him. And I'm like, oh, I look down and to the left, like he's very psychic, so I know we communicated that I was aware that she does private lessons and flaunts herself with her tramp stamp. Okay. That's all I need to say about that. And I'm like, okay, there's one. And then the next one happened almost a year later because I had noticed something when I ran into him. We had a brief, like, it was like the conversation we both wanted. Like, I was following him and I was just staring into his eyes. And it was like, I would just follow you anywhere because we had I'm a masculine woman. He's man, a feminine man. We both had unhealed trauma. So we were dealing with that masculine woman, feminine man dynamic where I'm like leading and then he's kind of following me, which, that doesn't work. Um, so while I'm kind of having this beautiful, I'm in my feminine, he's in his masculine moment, she starts coming closer and pushing into our energy, and he immediately got protective. And I was like, oh, what's going on there? Okay, well, then I left and I didn't see him again. But about 4 months later, I was guided just to have a conversation with her. And I was like, I told him, like, Kelly, like, I don't know, my intuition, I need to have a conversation. I'm not sure what. Let's just sit down and talk for a second. She's like, okay. So, we talked. And I was like, I helped him. And yeah, I'm like, well, then I helped Justin Waller and Andrew Tate. I helped there in my book too. We can talk about that in a second if you want, because yes, like Andrew Tate, yeah. And then the Fire Academy instructors came in yoga. So I was telling like, I helped him, and then I helped Justin and Andrew. I'm like, well, then I helped Pat, right? She's like, oh yeah, I just, I ran into, I see Pat at the dog park. When I first saw him there, I didn't even know his name. I was like, oh, you remember details about this man. It's funny that I've met your husband of 16 years multiple times at yoga. It's funny that and that you were pushing in when I'm having this beautiful moment with this man. Like, why would you push in? And then I'm like, oh, tell him I say hi. I'm like, oh, we had such a special relationship. Like, I was in his heart and I was healing him. Like, well, how like you're in your husband's heart, right? And I'm just in the moment, like putting the pieces together that I'm calling out her cheating with this guy that she knew that I was like healing and flirt. This is the conundrum of modern women. So no, yoga studios
Mhm.
are not the place to meet a woman. Not
Okay.
the place to meet a woman.
All right.
Oh,
Seems like a lot of drama.
and then those are the players go because that's where the masculine women are. So the masculine women are damaged. And so what do? They get with the players who are also damaged. So let's talk about having a maternal wound like you talked about with Justin. Like, so Justin's mom has a YouTube channel where she's complaining and criticizing Justin and gives
Oh
out
my
her
God.
phone number so people can call her and they can on YouTube talk shit about Justin. Okay. So,
Oh man.
yes, the man has some maternal wounds, right?
Right.
No,
And I'm complaining.
I'm
That's like, oh my goodness.
so messed up. Oh my God, it's so bad, right? But let's look at Justin. He's a lot
Mhm.
like me. He was
Yes.
born into poverty in Louisiana. He was raised in a trailer park in a mostly black neighborhood. He's a ginger. So he was, but he's 6'3", so he was had the stature to defend himself, fighting
Right.
constantly with the other kids.
Mhm.
And parents divorced. He failed sixth grade, but he went on to get a college scholarship for football. And now he has a multi-millionaire steel construction company that's super successful. And he's done very well for himself
Mhm.
financially. But his
Mhm.
relationships are still a mess. Like I saw him on a video that he has kids with three women. It's like, how can you be present for three different families? Like
Right.
that, see, here's the thing that people don't understand that people are trying to figure out. And I really love the dedication in my books. I'm dedicating it to a Cherokee proverb that
Mhm.
says, a woman's highest calling is to connect a man to his soul so he can unite with source. A man's highest calling is to protect a woman so she can walk the earth unharmed. Well, that spiritual connection to the heart, to the soul, that's the internal work. So the mother's job is to teach you how to love yourself through, excuse me, well, the right brain, compassion and nurturing and forgiveness. She mirrors it back to you to teach you how to regulate your own nervous system. But when your mom doesn't know how to be compassionate and nurturing and caretaking, like you just described your Chinese mother, very, I know Chinese women, right? Then
Yes.
what kind of son would she create? Is a
Mhm.
son who doesn't know how to process his emotions, a son who represses his emotions, but then because you're repressing your emotions, you're too much in your right brain and not enough in your left brain, hence you're attracting masculine women. So your mom, because she's masculine, you're the opposite as the son, go into your feminine more, like this happened to my son too.
Mhm.
But now that I've swapped, that gives him, now he's doing much, much better. He's doing really well. Now, I'm in my feminine, so my femininity fuels his masculinity, where previously my masculinity repressed his. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a common problem with so much divorce, so many single moms, so many men, boys who don't have a father in the household. Like most men in prison do not have a father figure. And it's because the father figure teaches self-control. And so the mother teaches kids how to relate to themselves, where the father teaches kids how to relate to other people, beginning with the mother. But when you have an abusive dynamic, like my parents, my dad used to argue with my mom about money. And, I'm from Westlake Village. You know, Westlake Village? It's like on the backside of Malibu, okay? Like really affluent area. Like Will Smith has a house there, okay? So but he would argue in front of my mom with my mom about paying for child support. So I internalized that I don't deserve to be paid for. And then that resonates with I don't need a man. Well, I don't need a man. I don't need that.
Yeah.
But really, what it's validating is the subconscious lie that I don't deserve to be paid for, which so many women have because so many men are messed up. And when did that start? Let's look back at the Industrial Revolution and when men left the household to work in the cities. So if the men are in the cities without the women, where's their emotional support? Oh, the bottle became their emotional support. And then you leave the women at home with no man. So then you got masculine women and feminine men. And then they come home, you can imagine the arguing. So again, money before family. And I know we all got to have money. We got to make money and we got to go through this to learn our lessons. I know. But I'm just like, how did this whole man, woman, masculine in the home start? I think that was a major, kind of part of it was the Industrial Revolution.
Well, yeah. When you mentioned about the money part, I mean, I I, I can relate to that because kind of the same. No money, no honey. So it's
Yeah, yeah.
right.
You,
So it's the
you got
same
to pick the
thing.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. um, they say, a lot of arguments have to do with financials,
Yeah.
when you're married or whatnot. And then both in America and then I feel okay. So in America, it's like, yeah, you need to be able to afford stuff. You need to be able to take care, be independent, in order to find someone else. And then even when I say in like in I can only speak for like Asia and stuff. They still have the mentality where the men have to pay for everything. So
Yeah.
even there's the pressure. Even though the women are more feminine, they're feminine. They'll stay home and
Mm.
take care of the women.
Yeah.
But you need to have the money though, right? They won't
Yeah.
date you. It's like you can't afford it. It doesn't matter. They'll be a feminine woman, but if you can't afford it, you can't afford it, right? So it's like that to a certain point where I was reading an article like it's more the younger generations, like the Gen Zs or whatnot, like the younger generations, they're even just going on dates just so there's just for the guy to get will pay for the meal. So they
Like,
like
yeah, I know. It's
getting free meals,
terrible.
like right, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we've just
So
like so lied to people that dating is casual, that sex is casual. Like, how is it casual to kiss someone when you kiss someone for 10 seconds and you exchange 80 million microbiome, and that's your mental health because your gut's your mental health?
right,
Like, how is that casual? And that's just the start,
yeah,
and then you're ejaculating into women, that or that you just met at the bar, like, and they
you're
create
supposed
a
to pull out.
but still, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're asking a woman to bond with you when you're drunk at a bar. Like, we've
Yeah.
so like lied to people on
Mhm.
a grand scale
Right.
that dating is casual, that relationships are casual, then we don't, and that sex is and then we don't value it. It's like
Hmm.
women don't value themselves. Like, so I went through this whole thing because I attract players, right?
Right.
Why do I attract players? Well, a lot of reasons. One being that I had a wound in my subconscious telling
Hmm.
me that I am replaceable. But then also, that message is really out there. Like, I saw Justin on Fresh and Fit. Right. I know Fresh and Fit's a big kind of red pill YouTube channel. And the guy there, Myron, will always say, well, women are all the same, you're replaceable. I was it's like so that was kind of one of my major conundrums because the first guy multiple women and then I attracted Justin to ask him questions about the multiple women. He's like, well, I was just built that way. I'm like, that's just wait, what, how, what, huh? And then Andrew, I'm like, wait, what? And then the fire academy instructors, the first one multiple women, the second one another yoga instructor. Like, I was am I like what's going on here? But I figured it out with the fire academy, the second one, the fire captain, because then I saw I had that wound. And so this is what our soul does. It will create a life for me so I can see myself, so I have an opportunity to go, oh, I got that wound down there, that I am replaceable. And so this is where a lot of women have this wound because this is how kind of in Western society men were taught about women because if we're treating men like they're disposable and all these wars and killing and things they got to do, then
Hmm.
how do we grow the population if men aren't having multiple partners? Which,
That's true.
on a biological level is possible. Doesn't mean it's healthy,
Right.
and then, in Western society, women equal value. So the more women, the more value. And that's been replicated, across the whole friggin' world, I mean, look at Genghis
Oh yeah.
Khan. Wow.
Yeah.
So, so this is not a Western thing, but this is what we're working out of now. So, I can get back into the whole Mary Magdalene thing now, which, is my nerd is kicking in. So I have a master's degree in East Asian religious studies. Like, I learned classical Chinese. I didn't learn Aramaic or biblical Hebrew, or I didn't go west.
Right.
And this year, when I accepted all the signs and synchronicities that my soul is the same soul as Mary Magdalene, which, didn't come easily. I was, in 2021, I started being told, oh, intuitively, you're on the Jesus Council. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, I have a job at an insurance company and I go to yoga. I don't go to church. Like, what do you mean I'm on and all these things were told to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, this year I had to like figure out a whole ton of stuff and like accept what is going on. And so I started doing research about, when did the patriarchy start? Like, everyone, the patriarchy. I'm like, does it exist? Is it real? Okay, yes, it's real. And when did it start? Okay, so you have the Bible. In the Bible, Yahweh is the God. And
Mm-hmm.
2,500 years ago, his wife, Asherah, who he always had before, started being repressed. When did she start being repressed? When imperialism, colonialism rose. Like, oh, we need structure and control and a king and rules and judges and laws and all the left brain, And I heard it today, like how many times have you heard in Western culture, like, that, well, I can't trust them if I can't control them, right? That would be, you'd hear that, right? I heard that. I was like, oh, there's the wound.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything is external to me. If I can't have physical control over someone, I can't trust them. Like what? What? But this is how women were treated, right?
Right.
If you can't shut a woman up, keep her mouth closed, keep her in your house, keep her, sweet and appropriate, she's the
Mm-hmm.
problem. So you can imagine, 500 years later, there you have Mary and Jesus, right?
Right.
Well, I'm the emotional center. I'm the intuitive. Femininity is wisdom, and Jesus spoke a lot of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And then there's a lot of problems between Mary and the other apostles. Like, why are you giving her so much attention? Do you like her better than us? Like all this jealousy. Well, and then he gets killed in his 30s. He gets crucified in front of his wife. So they weren't, there were problems there, right? But this is what we're working out of, is that femininity was repressed because colonialism rose, and that's when like a singular masculine god rose. And so then they attributed creation to a man. Well, does a man have a womb? Because a womb creates. No, that's femininity. And this brings me to my first enlightenment experience a year and a half ago. And so I didn't know any of this a year and a half ago. So I didn't know. I heard my intuition said, you're going to experience enlightenment. I'm like, okay, whatever. 2 years later, I wasn't thinking about it. And I didn't know this was going to come. So it was a Tuesday, and I sit in my recliner and I started feeling this electricity through my veins. Like I didn't know what was happening. Like zzz, zzz, zzz. I'm like, what's going on? Zzz. Like, okay. I didn't feel very hungry or thirsty, and I just sat there in my recliner. The next morning, I had barely slept, and I was, vibrating even higher. And then I heard in my head, like, enlightenment, enlightenment, enlightenment. Like I had attained that level, like in a video game. I'm like, wait, I'm in the enlightenment level. Oh my God, okay, And so, so I asked myself. Then it was like myself said, time to ask for the wisdom. I'm like, oh, well, what do I need to see? And so first I was shown all the first responders, which I know, okay, well, that's a mental health crisis. Like that's messed up. Then I was shown the family. I'm like, oh, that's just messed up. Like, oh, oh, that's just messed up. I'm like, okay, just take me back to the beginning. There was God, and then what happened? Like, because everything is messed up, right?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't find, like, where's a solid foundation to build from, and I couldn't find one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm looking at and I'm an analyst. Like that's what I did. I did risk and issue assessment at Anthem Blue Cross for 20 years. So I'm all, analyst. So I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, so there's God. I'm like, so there's creation and there's orchestration.
Mm-hmm.
But creation is feminine and what's a masculine God. I'm like, why are we ascribing a feminine trait, a feminine, accolade Why are we giving that to the man? What if we separate like divine feminine and divine masculine? As you know, now I'm thinking of it this way. In the moment, I didn't see it that way. But I was like, feminine and masculine. I'm like, and then I brought that to the family because I know, okay, we kind of mirror that in the family. I'm like, well, if God is dual in nature and we're made in the image of God, like if we're, men and women and we're dual, why isn't God dual? Like I remember asking those questions all before I knew about Mary and Jesus and Yahweh and Asher. I didn't know any of that. I'm questioning why we have a monotheistic God that's male, and I'm questioning why I don't value my femininity, So I was able to see, okay, if we have divine feminine equally powerful and revered and respected as divine masculine, and we mirror that in the family, the center becomes just as important as the protector and the provider. Do you see what I mean? So when we put everything with a masculine God, it's easy to internalize that he's God and I'm less. But if you have, Mary Magdalene equal to Jesus Christ, divine feminine next to divine masculine, and then we mirror that in the home, then everyone knows the wisdom came from the feminine, not the masculine, you know? And so that's basically, what I see the main problem is today is that we need to come out of this kind of monotheistic, God and then projecting that onto society as if masculinity is more important than femininity. I mean, how many people are championing femininity, but we got women trying to be men and men trying to be men. So masculinity got to be pretty. But this
Yeah.
is where women, we don't know our value. And because we repressed our femininity, we don't know what our intuition does. And so I'm going to give you some examples, right? So now, so that was a year and a half ago, and I had
Mhm.
this enlightenment experience, and then I had many more since then. But a year ago, I was healing from a rape wound with my guy from my childhood, JC. Okay, yeah. So I know. I mean, this is my perspective, but we have a lot of trauma, so I haven't even talked to him yet. But he's currently the head of global security at GoDaddy, former FBI that I know from my childhood. And his name is Jason Colvin, JC. Okay. So so he was like ASB president and like super good looking, like jog, varsity letterman, like dream guy in high school. And I just wouldn't even let him talk to me because like, no, 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 no. But I was in my masculine and he was in his feminine. And what could happen when a man is too emotional and loses control, like 9 out of 10 rapes are with a man that you know.
Mhm.
So and this is what I'm like, one of the things I'm figuring out is all these men with all these women, and some of them can be accused of being rapists, and I have a rape wound, and we attract what we are. You see what I'm saying here with the fire department, the FBI involved? This is saying something super serious, right? So um, when I was facing that wound, and I was only talking to his soul, so he wasn't in the same room, which could have been physically dangerous for me because when a man loses emotional control, that's their nervous system goes out of whack a lot faster than women's. So they
Mhm.
can, one, it helps them disconnect, but also, disconnect from self-control. So, and I attracted men who have abusive childhoods. So all these men had a traumatic childhood. And what does that produce? Men who are too much in their emotions who lack physical control. So I just kept him away from me because I just, I couldn't even, it was just like way too much to talk about. So to even like go around, because anyway, and I go over that on my website if anybody's interested. And my next book will be about my whole kind of coming out as Mary Magdalene, right? so, so anyway, I'm talking to his soul, and we're going over the rape thing.
Mhm.
And when his frustration peaked, and I moved my energy like that to protect myself, it was like 8 o'clock at night. All the lights went out in Ventura, just at that exact instant, like fuck. And it came on about 10, 15 minutes later. It was just an instant thing, and I was like, okay, I know my soul is strong, but I kind of put that on the shelf. Like, what was that? What happened? But you got to think, femininity is the weather. Earth's emotions are the weather. And I'll get into that in a second. So a year later, this last September, I was accepting part of myself and accepting like the weather and I'm wisdom and I'm these things. I woke up at 1 a.m. and I had to accept that I'm wisdom opposite Christ knowledge. And I accepted that as Sophia. And within a minute, a whole thunder and lightning storm hit for like 15 minutes, like out of the blue. Like it wasn't raining before. It was nothing. There was no other rain for like a couple months. I know we just had rain here, right? But it's like all
Right.
of a sudden I woke up and I'm right in alignment with the weather. And I live on the Pacific Rim in Ventura, California. So like, things like that happen. And I was like, okay, I think women, we don't understand what our souls can truly do as women. Like,
Mm.
there's got to be ways for us to protect ourselves. Like, if I, as the woman, have divine influence over the weather, I can throw an EMP. If I can make the whole house dark or the whole area dark, then I can keep myself safe.
Mm.
But when we don't embrace women's femininity, there's no chance to bring out the gifts that all of our souls have. And so when we're all worried about money, 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 and looking good and how to look on social media and this picture and that, and who says this about me and that, and we're not doing the internal work, then we can't bring out the amazingness in all of us. Like if I hadn't done my internal work, I wouldn't have been able to help Andrew Tate. Like, what? I mean, I'm a mom, I got daughters. I'm like,
Right.
oh, I got a chance to help him be more emotionally balanced. Like, let's go, right? I'm a mama bear. Like, don't even start with me. And my kids got mad at me. I'm like, I'm don't you want him to be more emotionally balanced, to have more self-control? They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's what I did. So they were mad at me. But that's the trauma.
Mm.
Don't help people. They don't deserve it. But they're talking about themselves and they're all self-hate. You see? Like
Right.
we're all that, yeah, we're all that messed up.
Yeah. I guess yeah. You can put it that way. We're all a little messed up. That's a lot to take in.
We're all messed up. But okay, well, no one's late, and here's why. Okay, so in 2012, the Mayan calendar, remember that 2012 is like the end of the time cycle with the Mayan calendar ending. It was all like there was movies about it. Okay, this is what was really happening. It was the end of a time cycle. And the time cycle we just started in 2013 is the time for self-healing. It wasn't time for us to become healthy until 2013, which was 12 years ago. We're not late. We're just
Right.
not there yet. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're not late.
We're not late.
No one's
Okay.
late. Yeah, no one's wrong. No one like, oh, I should have gotten on the trauma healing bus a month ago.
Right.
No, no. And I teach this DIY trauma healing. So, with my free ebook, and you can look
Mm-hmm.
at my website, if you want to buy my book too. But that, along with these tips, will really get you going in the right direction and get you out of therapy and help you kind of figure out how to operate your soul and recalibrate your nervous system on your own. So here's some things that you can do.
Okay.
I recommend learning Reiki. Reiki, you can shower yourself with more love and it will speed up the wound, the trauma healing process. And then when you go through the learning process, you'll heal. And then when you do it on yourself, you'll heal. And you can do that all day long. And then you can Reiki your food and there's all kinds of things to help yourself. That's thing one.
Okay.
Thing two, walk barefoot in nature 3 days a week for 10 minutes. Hug trees because the energy there is much more aligned. And so
Mm-hmm.
when you connect to more aligned energy, more healthier energy, then it helps you become more aligned. And you have doctors all over the world now prescribing nature time as opposed to, mental health medications like SSRIs, and it's working. It really works
Okay.
well. So do that. And then for men, if you want to, get your frustrations out or whatever, science has proven that this activity is the best for men, not women, because we're different. Our bodies are totally different. Um,
Okay.
to reduce cortisol and build testosterone is chopping wood.
Chopping wood, huh?
Chop wood. Go chop some freaking wood, dude. Chop some wood.
We need to
Don't
go get some wood.
don't
We're
fuck with
lacking
me.
trees. So.
Absolutely. So you got that. And then for women, what does the same thing for women? I mean, but the same, I mean, reduce cortisol and increase the balance of the feminine hormones,
Yeah.
walking and gentle yoga. But you can Google this stuff, healthy diet, regular exercise.
Mhm.
But men need weightlifting a lot more than women do. Women, less weightlifting. Where women respond more to yoga, and so just and then figure out what you like. Like if you like bike riding, then go do that. Like whatever you like. But that's the thing. Let's just start engaging in self-care and using my self-love strategies, and then you will naturally recalibrate your nervous system over time, and you will naturally attract healthier and healthier people over time because you will become healthier and healthier.
Okay, so this is for both genders, not just women, right?
Yeah.
We're talking
Yeah,
about
both
both.
genders. I mean, the gender difference is chopping wood is for men, walking and gentle yoga is for women. Not that, men can't go do that, but in the women, it's just not you don't get the same benefit. Like a lot of women these days are complaining, well, men don't work around the house. Okay, well, male housework is different than female housework, and how we respond to it is different. Women, when I do repetitive motions at home, cleaning the house is repetitive motions at home. I create oxytocin and bond with the home. Men don't do that.
Nope.
When men fix things in the home, solve problems in the home, they create vasopressin, and that balances their hormones. Hence, men are attracted to the car problem, the plumbing problem. Men are attracted to problems. Women are attracted to kind of the keeping up of, like sewing is repetitive.
I
Quilting is
like the cleaning.
repetitive.
I was just cleaning before this. I was vacuuming and mopping the floor.
Yeah.
Sometimes and folding. I like folding the laundry. Sometimes therapeutic to you.
It can. It can get like a rhythm, but the reason you're looking for the rhythm
Mhm.
is because you're too far in your femininity. And
Too far.
so,
Okay.
yeah, if you had that structure built in your masculine, I'm not saying that a masculine man can't clean or fold laundry. I'm not saying that. But if it
Uh-huh.
kind of gets you in a flow,
Yeah.
that women get in a flow. Men don't. It's not like I could
Oh,
see a
men
man
don't flow.
losing himself fixing an engine would be a healthy
Yes.
masculine man, and I
Oh, okay.
oh, but it's just kind of way you said it seemed a little indicative that it's really important for you to chop some wood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
Or,
need to chop some.
I don't know,
I'm
but
saying I like lacking trees. Yeah. But yeah, I do get into when something needs to get fixed, and then I can't go to sleep until it's fixed or
yeah,
something. I do get
yeah,
into that, and then I can't. I would stay up all night just whatever. That if it's something I can fix myself, if it's
yeah,
something I need to call someone, then I still lose sleep waiting for the guy to come to fix it because I want to get it
yeah.
fixed. I guess it comes from remember like men like to don't want to solve the problem before they go to sleep, and women can like just go to sleep. Is that
I
right or
don't
something?
But
Like,
that's your healthy masculinity coming out. So just, keep fixing things. Keep
okay,
solving problems, Don't shy away from that. Keep going, on that front, because that will really help you bring out your masculinity.
okay. So I need more mass. So what do people need to be? More masculine, more feminine, or equal balance? Are we trying to work for a balance here?
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's a great question. Let's look at the Tao symbol, right? The
Yeah.
Tao symbol is half black with a white spot and half
Mhm.
white with a black spot.
Right.
With the black being the feminine and the white being the masculine. That's how
Okay.
much femininity, like a woman should spend about 90% of her day in her right brain. A man should spend about 90% of his day in his left brain.
Interesting.
On average, some women will be 80-20, some men will be 95-5. But, on average,
Mhm.
so this is where, we get into like the career problem. Like you have female firefighters. Well, they have
Yes,
the
they do.
highest divorce rate, like a 70% divorce rate.
Oh,
Because they
interesting.
have,
I didn't know that.
yeah, and our relationships are a mirror with our relationship with ourselves. So 70% of them want to divorce themselves.
Mhm.
And so their hormones aren't balanced. I mean, I don't understand why OSHA doesn't step in. I mean, women, we regulate our body temperature 25% less well than men do, and we're talking about firefighting. You
Right.
know, like the fire captain in my book, he's 6'7". The other one is 6'4". how many women could get either of those guys out of a fire? Like, let's be real. And then these women are destroying themselves because we told women they can do whatever they want. And then we support that, but then we put the firefighters at risk so women could, you know, on the surface feel good about themselves, but have it lead to 70% divorce rate. Like, what are we? We're putting ideology so far ahead of reality, and that's the disconnect, but that's what we're fixing now. That's why there's such a swing back to traditionalism and boundaries, and a lot more women are staying home over the past year and not going back to work. And so we're in the middle of this huge shift globally, huge shift.
Right.
But
So
that
you,
makes sense because the second coming happened this year and like the great purification. So now is the time for that self-love creates heaven on earth. Like we as souls are creating heaven on earth together through the healing process. So Jesus is not descending from, no one is coming to save you. I guess that's you heard that saying so many times. Jesus is not going to drop out of the sky and then take the souls that deserve it. That is not how healing happens. We're souls having a human experience. I'm the only one who has sovereignty over my own soul. That's why I have to do my work. That's why Jesus, JC, whatever, he can't come solve my problems for me because he doesn't have control over my soul. But this is the cool part. Like, how is California not heaven on earth from a physical perspective? The only hell we all have are our relationships. That all boils down to our relationship with self. So let's all change that and create amazingness on earth. Like the buffalo in America are coming back. Like there's 500,000 buffalo now in America. 100 years ago, there were a few thousand. Like if the
that's
buffalo
true.
can do it, like let's friggin' go. Like my grandpa had a buffalo head in his den. Like let's go.
Yeah. That's right. Be like the buffalo. Let's come back.
The resilient. And
Love
yeah.
that. Yeah. So okay. So after, so I guess trying to wind up here. The if we do adjust ourselves,
Mhm.
is it a whole new? So we're attracting the right people. The
Mhm.
whole is it the whole? Is it a whole new topic when it comes to like finding, like seeking, or like because attracting is attracting, right? But because I'm thinking back, okay, and I'm
Mhm.
thinking back because you mentioned players and everything.
Yes.
So men always think that I feel secretly. This is again only my opinion,
Yeah.
but secretly, some men sort of like envy that when you see a good looking guy, got game, go to a bar and pick up chicks and stuff like that, and then you guys got we all sort of feel a little jealous, like like, oh, even because we're standing on the sidelines, and maybe there's this guy. He's not a handsome or tall, but he has a lot of money. Yet he can't pull the same thing like that, or it it's
Can
about
I tell
the
you the
approach.
envy thing here?
Yeah.
So those guys, like I just said, are you envious that Justin's mom treats him like that? Because that's where his sex addiction comes from.
Oh no,
So
we're
those
not.
men, I mean, like, so I'm just going to be real. The
Right.
capacity to fuck a bitch does not equate with a man's capacity to lead a family. And I just said
Okay.
Justin's got three families.
Right.
And
Right.
the man
Yes.
travels internationally and lives in a different city. And, like those are not healthy families. But that a man who picks up chicks and has casual sex has a sex addiction at some level or another and is not a healthy father figure and not a healthy husband. So, and I know a lot of men are jealous of that. Like Myron even started teaching men, like, oh, before you get married, fuck 50 bitches, then you'll be ready for marriage. It's like, I'm sorry. Like, again, the capacity to fuck a bitch does not equate with the capacity to be a husband and a father. Like, but then he's not a husband and a father, and he
Oh
even
yeah. No.
tells
Yeah.
stories that his mom would get anxious making his dad a sandwich.
Mm.
Like, if she's that emotionally incapable, well, then it makes sense why he is too. Why
Yeah.
he doesn't have that deeper depth. Like, he just talks about how he fucks bitches. And it's like, I'm sorry, like, Why is he celebrating his capacity to lead women to their demise? Because now we have tons of scientific data proving that casual sex destroys women's ability to pair bond as wives and mothers. And I go off on this in the book. And this is what the fire captain, he turned out to be married and also hooking up with a yoga instructor. So I sent an email to the dean of public safety calling out his oath of office. The man teaches cadets, you
Right.
know, and so I'm like, you are tasked with protecting the most vulnerable women and children,
Yeah.
yet you have tons of casual sex leading women to their demise because casual sex destroys women. How are you in compliance with your oath of office? Like, let's just be honest here. Like, the fire department has this major problem of a sex addiction, and they do wellness checks, and these guys have rapist wounds, pedophilia wounds, and, all these problems. And yet, do you see?
Yeah.
And we don't want to face it. Why? Because the men at the top have these same problems too. And I've confirmed that with like another shaman I ran into locally. She had a fire battalion chief and his wife like follow her around, like stalk her, trying to get her to be a third in their relationship. Because don't you want to have sex with the fire battalion chief? Like what? Like, but this is, you know, like this is I'm talking about the mental health problem in the first responders because we attract what we are. So it makes sense that 57% of firefighters have PTSD. And I'd say it's probably higher
Oh,
than that.
yes.
So, you know, and then that's a very, a lot of trauma in that job. Do you see? But then there's the challenge. So it's hard to be like firefighters have a sex addiction problem. Like that's hard to say. But if we don't say it and address it,
Well, I mean, play double. Do you think men in general? Because I also grew up. Okay, we can't pick up the girls at the bar. There's the other thing people say, and I was trained growing up. Is like fine, you can't pick up the girl in high school, and no girl want to go date you. Then okay, fine, just focus on your career, make a lot of money, because after you make a lot of money, you could just buy them. You could just buy them left and right. And that's what I was taught, because I grew up. I
but
was never
that's
good with girls. And then they said, okay, if that's what you lack, then hey, just make a lot of money and you could buy them left and right. It don't matter, whatever, old, young, married, not married, pregnant, not pregnant, you could just buy them. And that's what I was, because I don't have the good looks. I don't, I'm not big and tall. So the only thing equalizer, they said, is just to make a lot of money. So
but
that's what we were. Yeah.
then okay, so you're only valuable if you have money, which I know, yes, we have to have money. I get that. But then women are for purchase? Like, that's not valuing what a woman does. Like, a woman is a natural healer. The woman takes the relationship through the rupture and repair process. So you rupture the emotions, and then goes through the repair. So she's in charge of the spiritual awakening for the couple. And then
Oh,
that's purchasable. Do you see? But this
yeah.
knowledge of what women are capable of has been so suppressed because it's not controllable, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
can't trust what you can't control. And you can't control a woman's emotions.
Right.
But if you repress her, tell her she's wrong, take away her voice, institutionalize femininity in like Christianity, where you go to Jesus and the church for forgiveness and compassion, and then you further disenfranchise her from her relationships because now men can go get the forgiveness they're seeking from the church and they don't have to get it from their wife, which makes them, then they can do whatever they fucking want. Like there's so much like problem here in the relationship, but I would say, you know, yes, you have to have money, but you're probably with the current state in America and with, you said, you're blind and you're not tall and you don't have, you're not Andrew Tate, right? So maybe Taiwan or China, probably more
Mm-hmm.
Taiwan, is a better place for you to find a wife because it used to be people didn't get so caught up on, okay, a woman's missing arms, she's still a mom doing everything with her feet. You
Yeah.
know, that used to be like we accepted ourselves more, so we accepted other people more. But now it's all perfect, 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 money, money, money.
Yeah.
Well, he's not telling him. He not, because do you know why women want a man who is at the end of the road? Because no, who's like already at the finish line? Because no one taught them how to have a healthy relationship and how to use their femininity to fuel her man's masculinity. And that's like women surrender and then men rise. Like a woman will drop the handkerchief and then the man can decide what to do, right? That is healthy femininity. She drops her energy, and because she pushes her energy down, that gives him an opportunity to rise energy up and make a decision. Women surrender, men act. But we taught women not to surrender. So now what? Then we fucked the whole game.
Well,
So,
I think it's just the microwave society too that they
oh,
want the they don't want to put in the work. You know how
no.
it's yeah. It's just they want the finished product. They want the perfect guy,
Yeah.
or men
Yeah.
want the perfect women too. I mean, vice versa. To be honest,
Right.
everyone just
There's
wants to finish. They don't want to work on anything anymore.
No, they want the like I said, money and convenience before health and being. And this is
Yeah.
all addiction, right? Like, what is addiction? You get your reward with no work, like porn.
Mhm.
Reward with no work.
No point.
And there's
Oh
the
yeah, no,
addiction,
no work. All
you
right.
know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you want to expand the time between your action and
Hmm.
doing the work and then getting your reward, right?
Hmm. Right.
That's a healthy person.
Okay.
I heard like David Goggins say, which I hate to hear him say it, but I know he's right, is the sweet spot is when you're slightly above your skill level and you're a little uncomfortable, but when you just lose track of time because you're just like figuring it out, like, oh, there's this and there's this and there's this and this is, figuring all that stuff out. That's
Right.
that's when you're like on the edge. That's when you're expanding your emotional range, your wisdom, your knowledge. You're expanding yourself because you're right on that edge. You're like, oh, I gotta figure, oh, and more, and just. And I'm not gonna obsess over it, but
Right.
you know when you're in that flow kind of state of like
Hmm.
figuring some interesting stuff out. Like when
Yeah.
you got to stay up all night and then you said because you're figuring out, you definitely have to stay up, and that's the bigger reward, especially for a man. Like my dad and my grandpa were exactly like that. Here's like a story from Pat, the first firefighter.
Hmm.
And he was telling me this is like the first time with these men that's ever happened to me. They kind of dangle their resources in front of me. I was like, whoa, okay, this is different. My femininity is definitely coming out. So he was telling me how his house has an ocean view and
Hmm.
he built his own deck around the house and how the deck is double reinforced, but maybe he went too far. I said, oh no, you didn't. My dad and my grandfather, who he already knew did construction, are exactly like that. They had two rules for construction. It had to be perfect and they had to do it themselves. And he lit up. And my head like submitted in submission, like it was like parallel to the ground. Like I've never had it be that intense. And he just like rose. I was like, whoa. And I could feel like his masculinity come out. But it was the perfect example of I surrendered my femininity. I was
Hmm.
vulnerable and shared up my dad and my grandpa. That my dad and my grandpa are just like him, right? So now he's like, he's good with me, right? And he just was like the man, the myth, the legend. And he just like rose. And that was in the class of Kelly.
Um,
So,
oh,
so of course she saw that I'm
uh,
healing him and she knew I wasn't dating him, but I'm
right,
there healing a man.
right.
The best she can do is spread her legs while married.
Um,
You know? Like
right.
it's easy to spread your legs,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not how you retain a man. And this is what women don't know. And this is doing the work and waiting for the dopamine hit. You got to
Right.
close your legs and open your heart because
Wow.
that's what men need. Men
Mm-hmm.
need access to source energy. They
Mm-hmm.
need access to our more robust nervous system, our emotional healing skills. That's why men know they need the nurturing and the compassion and the enlightenment, if you have it, and the intuition, the creation, all of that. That's what fuels their work, you know? And this
Yes.
is where men, women are the source of work, right? Okay, I got a wife,
Mhm.
I need a house. Oh, how many bedrooms do I need? How many kids are we gonna have? Okay, oh, she's having more kids. I gotta get a better job. Like, in a healthy relationship, the femininity naturally fuels the masculine work. Makes sense, right?
Yeah. Wow. We definitely impact a lot.
I'm home alone a lot thinking about this shit. Like I gotta know I'm 55 now. But
I
this
know.
is also like this is what women at my age are supposed to be doing. Like
Mhm.
we are hormonally set up to go through menopause and become oracles like this, to share our wisdom and our knowledge and our experience and to be the matriarch. This is what
Yes.
we're set
Yes.
up to be. But how many women might, oh, I want to go traveling and I want to have casual sex and I'm going to get drunk. And like, I met this mom. This was like the craziest thing.
Hmm.
She's like, oh, both of my kids met their forever person in high school. I'm so bummed they didn't, play around in their 20s and then meet someone closer to 30. I was like, I looked at like, I'm like, why is that? Why are you upset that your kids didn't have a ton of casual sex and subject themselves to STDs, trauma, problems, pregnancy? Like they have a long-term relationship. Again, she wants them to be like her. She's controlling. She's repressing her emotions because a healthy feminine mom would be thrilled. I couldn't, and I was just shocked.
For the people that are just having the casual, I think even them are seeking something. They're trying to look for something, and then they're just like going one after the other, but they're looking for something. You know how you look for something in a big pile, you just take one and toss it, take one and toss it until you find out. And then some people, unfortunately, even down to the very last, down to the bottom, they still can't find it. I guess maybe they don't know what
Okay,
they're looking for.
so I'm gonna share something that my like second big enlightenment experience. So last fall was the first time my intuition called me to reach out to Jason after 40 years. I hadn't seen him since high school.
Mhm.
So I reached out, he read it, but he didn't respond. And there's a lot of trauma between us, so I understand why he didn't respond, especially more like if we're dealing with rape wounds, and it's best that our souls talk, and I'll talk to him hopefully in 2026. So, but it was so like different than the others, it was just like, whoa, like fireworks, like times 10 the fire captain. I was like, whoa, like, wait, what? And Jason, his soul came through during my first enlightenment experience, but I didn't accept how special he is to me. So after a couple days, and I'm like, whoa, this is different. I asked the universe, I'm like, and again, asked the universe, I'm like, why is this so different? Like, how are masculine and feminine souls created? And this is what I was told. Okay, so and we're all here to expand our consciousness. Okay, so first we were a soul that housed both feminine and masculine qualities in the same soul. Then, to expand our consciousness and to see ourselves, because our opposite is our best mirror, like we don't know what tall is unless we know what short is, right?
Mhm.
So we had to split into two. So, how did that split into two happen? This is how it happened. So, the intent to create the masculine creates the feminine. And the feminine soul tears out half of her heart chakra to create the masculine. And that's the wound we come to heal. And so there is the one, there is the perfect match. And I can tell you that, like, I would not be at home for over a year talking to a man's soul, helping us both heal if it weren't Jason. But then what's happened? I published my book. I accepted that I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. I took us through the second coming. I wrote my wisdom of peace plan. I wrote, like all these amazingnesses is coming out of me because we're coming together. But also, what does that mean about on earth? Well, if the lead feminine and the lead masculine souls aren't even in a physical relationship yet, you can see how many problems we still have. So his and my coming together is bringing all of this kind of I'm unearthing, I'm the rupture and the repair, right? The unearthing of all the problems. Like now we're seeing, like what happened in Minnesota. There's $76 billion of fraud in California that's just coming out. The problems with uncontrolled Muslim migration, the terrorist attacks and how they don't assimilate and all the raping. Like, there's just tons of problems because of our lack of healthy boundaries with self. And we attract what we are. So yeah, there's us coming together. I'm really hopeful for next year. And is like the more that he heals and I heal, and the stronger I get in my femininity, and the stronger he gets in his masculinity, and where the buffalo come in. So this was like the coolest thing. Like, okay, so my mom had two names for me before I was born, Carrie and Shenandoah, which I knew is Native American. And my grandpa had, I said, the buffalo head, right? And so he had the buffalo. Well, the second coming, at that enlightenment experience that I had right at the beginning, Native Americans showed up. Was like, we have a soul contract. We have an agreement about the buffalo, and they showed me Montana and these things happening in Montana, which I was totally unaware of. And I was like, oh, so the second coming is bringing healing with Native Americans? It's like, oh yeah, the Great Purification, which is the Hopi Indians, which is Arizona, where I was born. I was like, oh, okay, great. So, but then I wasn't called to look into it. Well, the Hopi Indians had 9 signs about the coming of the Great Purification. And the last sign was that they called the blue kachina, kachina meaning a blue star in the sky, like a blue comet. Well, Three Eye Atlas is a blue-green comet. And when this blue was Three Eye Atlas closest to Earth? Friday, December 19th. Well, that was the day that the YouTube showed me a video on my feed about Montana. It, sorry, and the bison, the buffalo in Montana. And it was all exactly what I had been shown. And so then I'm bringing all of this out now because the buffalo are amazing that they naturally balance out the ecosystem. The way they interact with the land, the soil, cattle graze, and so they kill stuff. But bison are bigger and stronger, and they roll on the ground and create big holes where water collects. And so then all the natural plants start to come out, and then all the animals come back. Like, we killed the beaver and the wolves and the buffalo. That destroyed the land. So, in like 30 years ago, there were a few thousand buffalo, and now there's 500,000 buffalo in America. Wow, like I had no idea that this was all coming back, but this is where I get so excited. It's like, imagine if we could figure out land management, the fire department with our indigenous population, and then take that global, and that's the solution to our environment problems.
Okay.
You see, like all this amazingness is coming. I'm just like telling you,
Yeah.
like, be hopeful. I know it's really
Yes.
hard
Thank
right
you.
now. There's just, we're bringing back healthy nuclear families where, you're going to have a great 4th of July block party and kids are going to be playing and there's going to be music and there's going to be barbecue and we're not going to have to worry about a terrorist attack.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
my ex-husband's Israeli. Like, my kids are half Israeli. So you can imagine what they've been going through in California, right?
Oh,
Like,
yes. Yes.
what
Yes.
the? So, yeah, better times are coming. I promise. I promise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So we gotta wrap it up here, but I
Oh, yeah,
guess,
we talk forever.
yeah, I know we'll do another episode or something, but
I
yeah, that
didn't
was
even
usually
speak Chinese. I didn't even tell you my Chinese stories. Okay, yeah, I have an amazing Mount Everest joke
okay.
that I gotta come back and tell.
Okay, there we go. We left it
There we
with
go.
a
We got it.
cliffhanger. All right,
Mount
we
Everest
have a
joke.
cliffhanger. So
Yeah, I got a
yeah, so
cliffhanger.
we'll definitely we'll do another episode because so we're running out of time here. But yeah, definitely. Thank you for coming on. Thank you again. It was great talking to you. Great. You definitely have great stories. So we'll
Thanks.
definitely do this again.
Yay.
Let me just say thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you again. Please like and subscribe. Again, sharing is caring. So please stay tuned for our next episode. Thanks, everyone.